Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
From his silver screen debut in Endless Love in 1981 to the behemoth that is Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise has graced our theatres for 4 decades. From a fresh-faced heartthrob to arguably the #1 modern-day action hero, Cruise has a filmography of classic movies. We feel the need for Neil to give us 10 TC facts.
Thank you very much, Pav. So here we go. Tom Cruise's real name is Thomas Cruise Maypother the Fourth.
Well, Miss Norris, shall we shag now or shag later?
Disney modelled the cartoon of Aladdin on Mr. Cruise himself.
That's right! It's a court-martial! Yes, Johnny!
Beginning with A Few Good Men in 1992 and ending with Jerry Maguire in 1996, Cruise became the first actor ever to appear in 5 consecutive movies that each grossed over $100 million in the United States.
Rain Man?
Yeah.
Let's play some cards. Yeah.
In an absurd coincidence, Nicole Kidman, Katie Holmes, and Mimi Rogers, all 3 of Cruise's ex-wives, were 33 years old when they divorced.
You complete me.
On October the 16th, 1986, Cruise earned his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Excuse me, drunkers.
Tom Cruise took up acting after a knee injury put a halt to his wrestling career in high school.
Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset.
Tom Cruise's 2005 appearance on Oprah, where he famously jumped on the couch, was one of the first viral videos on YouTube. It spawned several parodies from Family Guy to Scary Movie 4.
Look, fuckstick, I'm incredibly busy, so why don't you get the hell out of here before I snap your dick off and jam it into your ass?
Cruise will not allow his likeness to be used in video games or for action figures.
Respect the cock.
Cruise is credited with saving the Ray-Ban brand after wearing them in the movie Risky Business. Their sales went up by 2,000%. And his highest grossing film to date is the new Top Gun sequel Maverick, which at present stands at $1.3 billion.
I feel the need for speed.
Thank you very much, Neil. Thank you
That's a
very much
pleasure.
indeed. And it is everything Tom Cruise today. And we're doing this because of our wonderful Patreon supporter, Rick, who's with us. Hello, Rick.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
We're doing
Very
good.
well.
We're
Very
doing
well.
good. I am waiting for something, so I will. If we're in the middle of talking, I will cut through something very special, hopefully.
Hopefully.
So Rick, why Tom Cruise?
It's a funny one. I always think that he's a bit of an oddball in real life. But then like a lot of people say, he can be very nice. He can be nice to the crew. I just feel like he's a bit of an enigma. He's such a massive star. He's never won an Academy Award, and he's done so many different films. And yeah, he's one of the biggest stars in the world. So why not do a top 10? Hey,
Yeah.
I think he probably is the biggest star in the world, isn't he? Now,
probably. Yeah. I mean, I guess who else would come close? Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio. Someone like that,
possibly, but in terms of box office, surely Tom Cruise,
The Rock,
Yeah.
maybe
The Rock,
yeah, maybe The Rock, yeah. But he's almost a thing unto himself, isn't he? He's a bit of he's just so big. So
For me, I equate him to Take That. Okay, so early Take That and early Tom Cruise, I didn't like at all. Early Tom Cruise was very, I'm a pretty boy, woo, slapping your hand and all that kind of stuff. And it was all very, I didn't like it. Same as when Take That came back and we're a bit more older and did like proper songs rather than teeny bop songs. The same with Tom Cruise. He hit that sort of, I'm not sure what move. Maybe Jerry Maguire, from Jerry Maguire on,
Yeah.
a bit more grown up, and he's done interesting. But the action movie stuff that he does,
Possibly
there's
Porn on the 4th of July would have been the turnaround.
I don't know, because and again with like something like Collateral, I think Collateral he was too young. He was, if he'd have played it like now, he's a little bit older. Do you know what I mean? He seemed to play an older person, but he wasn't young, obviously, but he was. But I do feel he's got better with age.
Yeah, he's one of the. Yeah, I know what you mean. He's sort of he was very much the new kid on the block, and then he was starring in all these sort of 80s, pretty boy sort of movies, wasn't he? And then I think there was a moment when he matured, and it was like, oh, actually, because there was a sort of like a watershed moment. Was like, can he actually act?
That was the thing. Right. Okay. Right. I'm my mouth's gone all dry now.
Oh.
Yesterday, I put a tweet out saying to @Tom Cruise that we were doing a top 10 of his movies and would he like to join us? Okay. So I can't believe I'm doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tom Cruise. No, I'm only joking.
Oh my God.
All right. I was expecting some lookalike or impressionist.
Oh, if I didn't have been able to get that deep fake bloke, that would have been great. I just wanted to see if you two shit yourself or whatever. I just thought
I literally shit my pants.
I really thought that it would have been that time when we're both going, well, we don't really like Tom Cruise, but we'll do a top 10 on him anyway. Imagine if we got him then and he's there and he's going, hi guys, how you doing? And we've just slagged him off.
I was going through half my notes, scribbling them out, going, oh God, I can't say that now. I can't say that.
Oh, well. I mean, look, Mr. Cruise, if you want to come and join us, please, there is time. There is time.
Always.
I do have a very funny story about Tom Cruise, though. I'll be very quick with it.
No, go on.
My brother got married in New York, and he's 10 years older than me. I'm 39, he's 49. So he was right in the middle of all of the cocktail Top Gun sort of thing when he was younger. Loved Tom Cruise. And I was his best man, along with one of his best friends, who based a speech around him. And it was in it was a Mandarin Oriental in New York. So we had this whole speech, and it was a bit of Tom Cruise ribbing in there, and he likes Tom Cruise, and look at all this stuff. That's all he ever talked about, and then moved on from it. And then his mate went down into the lobby to get something and came back upstairs and went, "You'll never guess who I've just bumped into downstairs." And he was like, "Oh no, I don't believe." He's like, "Yes, Tom Cruise. I bumped into Tom Cruise." And he was like, I don't believe you at all. So he pulled out his phone. He had a picture of Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes himself in a lift in the same hotel. Yeah.
Wow.
And he was like, "Why didn't you ask him to come up to the wedding?" He was like, he categorically said no.
Oh, did he?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, he's in the same building.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
That is crazy. I mean, he was at like the Air Tattoo, wasn't he, back in July? And
yeah, he was. He
just
rocked up, didn't he?
I had a singing gig in the same, like in Fairford, in the same little village, and I thought, wouldn't it be weird if he turned up? Obviously, he didn't.
You could have done. You've lost that loving feeling.
I could have done. He'd have loved it. He'd have absolutely loved it, wouldn't
because
he?
he would never have heard that before like that.
His little legs would have been kicking around.
He'd have run all the way there. Which reminds me, one of the funniest videos is of that one where they reversed his running for about 5 minutes.
It's absolutely brilliant.
It's hilarious, isn't it?
I will put that on the video playlist for the Patreon subscribers without doubt. And talking to Patreon subscribers, we want to welcome Brandon Watson. Hello, Brandon.
Hello,
Thank
Brandon.
you very much for your support.
Yes, huge thank you.
Unfortunately, you haven't joined us on an episode that Tom Cruise was going to join us on. Wouldn't that have been amazing, though, if another little square had turned up and there he was? Hi, guys.
When you said my mouth's gone all dry, I was like, this must be real.
I was really trying to sell it. I was wondering how long to keep that thing going. But anyway, right. We will talk about the man's films. And Rick, you start us off with your number 10 then, please.
Okay, so my number 10, and just, like I'm sure you guys have been doing a bit of shifting around, but my number 10 is Minority Report.
Oh, that's my number 7.
That's my number 8.
Yeah, so I just it's a weird little movie, this one. I really, really like it. Obviously off a short story by Philip K. Dick, and he's had a lot of movies made after his little stories, but Steven Spielberg, and I just think it's Steven Spielberg being a bit different, a bit dark, a bit weirder. And I just think that, it's a weird movie. There's a moment in the movie where he's explaining to the older lady that invented pre-crime, about, he's trying to find out where these Minority Reports are, and she just turns around and gives him all this information and turns around and kisses him for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's the tone of the movie, and I just think it's really interesting. It's kind of a new take on like a time travel sort of change of destiny sort of, the old things like that, but it's kind of a new sort of take on it with the predictions. And again, Spielberg is really good in it with all the chase scenes, and I think when they're building the car in the factory and he's fighting Colin Farrell and it builds itself and he just gets up and drives away, I think that's brilliant. The jetpack fight where it toasts the burgers, I think that's really funny as well.
Yeah.
And he's just so watchable, Tom, in it. He's really good. And also, I really like, there's kind of a theme running through my list, which is, it's kind of the movies that he's in, but it's also the performances he does. And I think in this one, you're always questioning yourself. He's got this clean cut sort of image, Tom Cruise, and he sort of plays to that. But in this one, you're thinking, did he do it? Did he?
Yeah,
Did he
there was that, wasn't there?
Do you know what I mean? And it's like all the way through, you're going, well, you're addicted to this drug. You've left your wife. You're in a bad place. You could have done it. So I just really like that sort of, did he, didn't he? And I think it's a really good film.
Yeah. And it's a visually stunning film. Still, I mean, I say still now. I haven't watched it for a couple of years, but it really held up. I thought the visuals of it and the style it's filmed. It's almost like a dreamlike quality to it.
It's got that haze to it,
yeah.
And I think some of it is the CGI makes it have that little haze, but yeah, and it's also I love the fact that it's a future that looks believable, if that makes sense. It's whereas like you watch Blade Runner and that was set where it was 2019 and there are flying cars and you're looking and going, well, where are the bloody flying cars then? Come on. That looks like it. I mean, does it actually say what year it is? I don't know whether it does or not.
I think it does, but I can't recall.
I think it leaves it a bit vague, doesn't it? But it's sort of like near sort of middle future. So you've got the cars that drive themselves and all this stuff. So, but
I agree. I think the one thing with Tom Cruise in that one, well, I think he likes being a hero, doesn't he? There isn't that many movies. Well, maybe Collateral is one. Interview with a Vampire, maybe another. Is there any others where he's been a villain?
Magnolia.
There's a few where he plays sort of bit of a bastard or a bit of selfish. But I like it when he does that, and I think he should do it more because I think he's way more effective when he does things like that.
I think so. But I think he obviously in his later career he likes being just
he's the action man,
the action hero, isn't he? Yeah. But yeah, I really saw it about a month ago. It was on Sky, and I just sat and watched it as it was on, and the whole thing with the eyes. He gets his eyes changed and he goes into the fridge and thinks he's getting the milk and the sandwich and it's like moldy milk and a moldy sandwich that it's disgusting. What's the name of that actor? The actor that did his eyes.
Oh God, yeah, he's in Armageddon, isn't he? Is the crazy? What's his name? Is it Peter?
Patton? No.
What's it?
Patton Oswalt?
No, it's not. It's I'll know it as soon as I see it. It's God, I'm looking on IMDb and I can't.
we're all stumped. It's an age thing.
It is an age thing.
I mean,
but he's one of those guys that Peter Stormare.
That's
it.
Yeah. Is he American?
Good question, because he always seems to play.
Yeah.
He was born in Sweden.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Born in Sweden, but he always seems to play those kind of just scumbags. Doesn't he? I mean, he was that in Fargo. He was the Steve Buscemi's like mate in Fargo.
He was, yeah.
And he has just to say as well, we may spoil movies in this.
I mean,
just
what's going to happen. But I really like the line that he says when he's put him under anaesthetic and he's like, I'll put you away because you were doing things to your patients, and he's like, you set them on fire. He goes, I'll put them out.
Yeah. That's a great one to start with. Go on then, Neil, you're number 10.
Mine probably won't be so great for a lot of people because I know it's not very well liked now, but I've put it in there because there is moments and bits in it that I really enjoy, and it's Eyes Wide Shut. And the reason I enjoy it is Cruise gives a superb performance in it. It's uncomfortable viewing, and we talked about films that are well out of his comfort zone. This must have been one, but it's also Stanley Kubrick's final film, and it has some real Kubrick moments. Let's not forget how to make an orgy seem like the most sinister thing you've ever been to. Not that I've been to many orgies, but
Not even to many orgies. Oh, so
Well,
you've been to a
exactly.
Just the
couple.
one.
Only the ones that you organised, pal.
Well, they were very ominous, weren't they? Really,
They were that Japanese sort of opera singing over the background, and that whole soundtrack in that bit. But I think Cruise is really damn good in this film. He's really good. Whether it's helped because it took so long to film the thing, but like I said, it stands out for me because like you said, you've talked about him playing the bad guy, but this is a subject matter that I think I would never have thought I'd see Cruise in, if you know what I mean. It's an overlong film, I agree, and it has its issues and problems, but you can't take away what Stanley Kubrick did there and some of the beauty of it, some of the well shot bits. And like I said, when he does uncomfortable Stanley Kubrick, you know it's uncomfortable, and there it is. I'd be interested to see what you guys think of this movie.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I have seen it, but I saw it a long time ago, and just literally that word you mentioned, uncomfortable, it did make me feel uncomfortable watching it. And I remember thinking at the time, do I like this? Do I not? And it got a reaction out of me. So
yeah,
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think it's a real out of his comfort zone movie, and it's not the sort of role you would imagine Tom Cruise to play.
No, it's something you would never see him do nowadays. Let's put it that way. And whether it was because he was married to Nicole Kidman and she wanted to do it and they persuaded, whether it was that. But yeah, I think it's all, his performance is very good. It proves that he's got, I know we talked about Born on the 4th of July and he was Oscar nominated and he's got acting chops in that, but I think his acting chops in this one are a lot better than Born on the 4th of July. And I would highly recommend revisiting it and seeing if you still get the same reaction from it. Like I said, it is overlong. It is.
Yeah, no, I really feel like I sort of want to do that. I think it's definitely, like, it is overlong, yeah. And I think to be honest with you, that's the sort of thing that when you sit down to watch a movie, sometimes if you know it's going to be, a long movie, you go, oh, you don't really want to put it on. But if it's on, I'll probably watch it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those ones where, but yeah, it's a very again, dreamlike, a bit of a dreamlike movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This sort of tale of obsession and, trying to find things out. Like I said, certain scenes really put the viewer out of their comfort zones with Tom Cruise's character in that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I've never had any feeling of wanting to watch it. I don't know why.
It's Kubrick, though. You should, final film, Pav. You should just at least see it once.
Okay. I will, Neil, just for you.
Well, just for Stanley.
Just for Stan Lee? What's
Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, Stanley Kubrick. I was going to say, what is Stan Lee? I was going to say. Okay, my number 10. I'm not sure whether he got an Oscar nomination for this one, but it's Jerry Maguire.
I thought he did. Yeah, I think he did, didn't he?
I think he did.
He's had 4, hasn't he?
So that is my number 2.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
And this went in and out of my list loads. There you go.
Yeah.
And it's not in my list now.
Yeah.
I mean, where it would stand in people's like best ever rom-coms, I'm not quite sure, but I do like he's somebody that's got principles. Well, he starts off being a bit of a scumbag, doesn't he? Because he's a sports agent, but he has this idea to do something like off the page a little bit, and it gets him the sack. So he decides to try and go it alone. With Renée Zellweger as his like personal assistant, if you like. And what's the name of the little kid?
It's Arnie. Is it Arnie something?
I know Jonathan Lipnicki.
That's it. He's the guy from Stuart Little, isn't it?
That's it. He's the one that sort of stole the show, really, didn't he? I mean, stole the
show.
Or
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah,
he's so good
and he won the Oscar. That's right, he won the Oscar.
He did
for that. Yeah. But I think Jonathan Lipnicki in the trailer, was like, that was the one that everyone sort of fell in love with.
Yeah,
but I do think it was a perfect role for him, really, because it was like he had a really good arc, the whole arc of his character, where he actually realizes it's not about money and it's not about doing what's best for. Well, even what's best for his client is, in the end, his client warms to him rather than the other way around, because the whole show me the money. Again, that's all Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character wants, is the money, where it's more about love and finding the person that you want to be with, and the whole you complete me bit, and you had me at hello.
It was Cameron Crowe, wasn't it?
It was Cameron Crowe.
Yeah, I mean, completely agree. I think there's a whole thing about this. It starts off, and it made me put it up the list actually, because I was looking into it, and it's the heart versus head thing at the start. That guy that keeps popping up is what's it? The late great, I can't remember the name, but it's like this sports agent that he idolizes, and he keeps popping up and doing like talking to the camera all the way through. And he said, you've got to use your heart versus you got to use your head over your heart over your head. And the show me the money thing at the start is his head, and then when he goes, you complete me at the end, that's him completely going around to his heart. And the whole movie is about heart versus head. Like Rod plays with his head, not with his heart. He keeps telling him that. So there's this whole thing going through, and I was like, oh, I quite like that sort of that theme that goes through the movie. And it's just a feel good movie. I just, it's whenever it's on, I always watch it. And I think I've just really liked Cuba Gooding Jr. in it. Like we were saying, he's hilarious. And I actually think it's a rom-com, but I think it's a rom-com between Rod Tidwell and Jerry Maguire more than anything else, rather than Renee Zellweger and Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? Because I think it's basically, it's almost like they are together, but the real rom-com is their friendship and how he teaches him to just stop using his head and, become a better person, basically. So I like that.
It's what, we were saying on the movie quotes episode, Neil, about how you use movie quotes like in real life.
Yeah.
And whenever I have a shower, I always look at the towel and I always say to myself, no, I towel dry. I still dry myself with a towel, but I always think of that. That always like slips into my head.
Well,
and
the show me the money. I mean,
show me the money.
You hear it all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
You do. You really still hear
he's funny in it, Tom Cruise, as well. He's actually very, very funny in it. Like there's a scene where he's drunk and he comes around and he's talking to the fish. And you just think, what is going on in this movie? And I quite like that sort of, because he's got some quite funny chops on him when he wants to. And I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
I think he has. I'm surprised he hasn't done more sort of just out and out comedies.
Yeah, the only one I can think of really where he really took the piss out of himself was Tropic Thunder, where he's just playing a horrible, in a fat suit type guy. But
he could do that. He could do that. I mean, Night and Day was a little bit comedic, I suppose, but it was more of an action film.
And it was shite.
Yeah, it's not on my list.
In it,
so you know.
So that was my number 10. So Rick, give us your number 9 then, please.
Okay, my number 9, and again, this is a lot to do with me watching things with my brother, and just that phase that he was in. It's Cocktail. So that's
my number 9.
Hey, brilliant.
Yeah,
it's just kitsch 1980s America. But I think the thing with the movie is it could have just been one of those sort of, he's a good-looking guy, he's a cocktail barman, and he meets the girl and but I quite like the fact that halfway through it sort of goes wrong a little bit. It doesn't go down that path that you normally expect, and then it really goes wrong with spoilers, obviously, if anybody's not seen Cocktail. But when Brian Brown, I think, is excellent in it as well.
Yeah,
he's doing Coughlin's Law and this and that, and he's trying to teach him and be the father figure to him, which there's a father figure thing going on where he doesn't, his dad's not there, and I just think that when he kills himself in it, it's like, oh God, I didn't see that one coming. It's like, and it really, it resonates quite a lot, and it's the poem scene. Any movie with Tom Cruise doing a poem in it, I'm there.
Yeah. I feel that this was the movie that is like both sides of the Tom Cruise that I like and don't like.
Right.
Because there's the bar. Now, total transparency. This movie made me work in a pub.
Yeah.
I watched this movie and I thought I want to be Tom Cruise, and then I ended up getting a job in like a local the pub in Siddington, Neil, the Greyhound in Siddington,
the Greyhound,
which is one of the quietest pubs you'll ever get. And I'm there thinking, well, when do I start spinning bottles and stuff like that? And it'll be like a 90-year-old bloke coming in with his tankard asking for a pint of 4X or a pint of John Smith's, and I thought, hang on a minute, this isn't the rock and roll I was expecting it to be.
Being the heart of a little village must have told you that to begin with. You're not.
I know, but you sort of think that
luxurious beaches.
This is what working in a bar is going to be about. You think you see the film and you think that's exactly what it's going to be. But obviously, it's an American bar for a start. But when I ended up working in the nightclub in town, I was asking them if they would send me on like the cocktail course, but it cost so much money. It was ridiculous, absolutely. But to be able to do all that, flicking the bottles up and everything.
I mean, flaring is like I actually I also worked behind a bar for a bit, and it was a cocktail bar. I was rubbish at making cocktails. Couldn't flare. Tried to do it. Dropped obviously rubbish. But in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I could. But I spoke to some of the actual. We went on this little cocktail thing. There was professional cocktail. They're called mixologists. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
cocktail makers. But I was talking to them, and they love Cocktail the movie, and I was like, so Tom Cruise, doing all that, and they were like, no, he can't fucking flare to save his life. He's crap. and it's like whenever you watch it, they go, look at what he's doing, and you think, oh, now I can't unsee that, and he can't catch it right, and he just about catches it, and you just
really?
think, yeah.
Right.
So that sort of ruined the suspension of disbelief a little bit for me when I spoke to them.
It's such a long time ago since I've seen that movie. A long time ago. Was it Elizabeth Shue, wasn't it?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
the other thing is anything with Elizabeth Shue in it, and I'm pretty much there.
Yeah.
It would be on my top 10, no matter what
Yeah.
the subject is. If there's Elizabeth Shue's in it.
What, even leaving Las Vegas?
Leaving Las Vegas.
Uh,
Which one's that? Oh, the Nick Cage one.
Yeah.
I mean, why? That's one of the ones.
That's uncomfortable and nasty.
I know, but she's nice in it, though, isn't she?
She is. She's nice in everything, but she doesn't have to go through the ringer in that one.
She
She
does.
But anyway, it's not top 10 Elizabeth Shue movies.
We'll
is
do
it?
that one again. We will do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. So not in your top 10 then, Neil.
No, because basically, I'm not, no word of a lie. I don't think I've seen it since the early 90s.
Right.
That's being generous.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it in a long time.
Okay, then. So what's your number 9 then, Neil?
It is Ridley Scott's Legend.
Oh, that almost made it into my list. Oh, so close.
And I know a lot of people don't like this, but this is at the time. So when this came out, what was it, 85, 86?
Something like that,
no,
yeah.
I think it was earlier because Top Gun was 86. So this might have even been earlier,
So yeah, it might have been
I can tell
85 then. Yeah. So I just, visually it's stunning. It still holds up. It's a great fairy tale. It looks amazing. I mean, Tom Cruise, it could have been any actor, let's be honest, but this is Tom Cruise films. He's in it.
85 it was.
85. There we are. So, yeah, I remember seeing this at the cinema and being, like everybody, scared to death of Tim Curry's Devil.
Brilliant.
Which still today, I watched this actually in the first lockdown again. It was on TV. I recorded it and went back and watched it. And I enjoyed it more now I've got older. And I know that it gets a lot of hate, this movie. If you read people, they're really dissing on it. But to me, it's just a beautiful fairy tale. You know, we've talked about other fairy tales and stories for children, like The Princess Bride, which is obviously a classic and everything. But this is a serious one, and I think it really works. And you can't go wrong with Ridley Scott's visuals and direction. You know, I think Ridley Scott was the master of colouring, and yeah, I love it. It's a sumptuous film. There you are.
No, it's beautiful film. I actually it's sort of, it makes me think of Pan's Labyrinth and Guillermo del Toro. You know, that type of fairy tale, you know, modern fairy tale. And I watched it again actually with my girlfriend, and she'd never seen it before. I love it because I so closely almost made it into my top 10, Neil. You wouldn't believe, but I watched it with her, and she sort of turned around and went, "What the hell is this?" Like, you sort of need to watch it a few times to really appreciate, I think, how good it is. And Tim Curry as well. And I know it's Tom Cruise. We're talking about Tom Cruise, but Tim Curry's Devil is just so scary.
And the makeup is just amazing. It really looks good now when you see it. It still looks phenomenally good.
Yeah, I've never seen it, and the reason is because Tim Curry. He always frightened me.
Oh, but
right.
But I now I'm a little bit, and I'm a brave soldier. I will watch it now.
But you need to it's one of those again. You need to just leave all your cynical and everything at the door and just sit down and enjoy the fairy tale for what it is, rather than, you know, people trying to analyze it and tell you what it does this and does that. And literally, I just want to say, no, it's just a fairy tale. Now, fuck off. You know what I mean? Excuse my French, right? But that's what you feel like saying to some people. They get too deep and that. And sometimes movies don't warrant being that deep. They're just,
no, that's true.
You know, just enjoy it for what it is.
Right.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, my number 9 was Cocktail. So back to you, Rick, for your number 8, please.
All right. So my number 8 is again, it's one that didn't grab me at first, actually, from the Tom Cruise pantheon, but I watched it a few times since, and it's Last Samurai.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, this nearly made it onto my list. Nearly
Yeah,
did.
and just like you were saying before, Pav, actually, it's for me, it's a more grown up Cruise. I
Mm.
really like the fact that it's a well, number one, it's a drama around a clash of culture, which I think for a Hollywood movie is quite interesting. They're not very patriotic in it. It's a very un-American tub thumping movie because they are very much saying, look, there's two sides to every story here. Obviously, he gets captured. I don't know if you know the story, but he's in the U.S. Army. He gets captured by the samurai, and he sort of learns their ways. But because he can't speak their language, and because they either can't or don't want to speak English to him, there's a lot of physical acting in it, and there's a lot of movements and sort of it's a very sort of there's moments when the movie where he's wandering around and it's there's no word spoken, but it's all about them sizing him up and him sizing them up, and it's kind of fascinating to watch. I quite like that, and it's something I haven't really seen from Cruise before because he is very chatterboxy and when he gets the lines. But there's a fantastic moment in it where he's been wandered around the camp and with this bodyguard, this Japanese bodyguard, and you think, okay, well, obviously the bodyguard's there to stop him having a go at the Japanese samurai and the people who live there, but it's the other way around. They've given him a bodyguard because they think we might get attacked, and it's that assumption that it challenges, and I really like that. I think that's a really clever sort of movie, and I just really like the way he acts in it. And yeah, it's just more complicated than enemies just being enemies. There's lots of grey areas, and it's just a very beautifully shot movie as well. And he looks, I mean, I think he looks pretty sexy in it as well. Do you know what I mean? He's
got the longer hair, hasn't he?
He's got the longer hair, and
yeah.
he's got his armor on. I'm just like, yeah, you look pretty cool in it. But again, yeah, just kind of one of those ones that's crept up on me, I think.
Was it an Ed Zwick movie, wasn't it?
I don't know. I did look up quite a lot of who did this, but I don't know actually. Yeah.
Ed Zwick, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
But I love the relationship between him and Billy Connolly.
Yes, it was. It was Ed Zwick, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, they seem to have bonded, but it sort of showed when there's a great the clip that you probably find it on YouTube. I've seen it many times of when Tom Cruise was on the Parkinson show. They're promoting it, and then obviously Billy Connolly came on. I've never seen somebody genuinely laugh for as long as Tom Cruise with Billy Connolly. It's a great clips, and it shows that they probably did strike up quite a good friendship while making it, which is quite sweet.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And it's got our favourite Neil, Ken Watanabe's in it as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Watanabe. Yeah,
he plays like the elder of the samurai, doesn't he? And there's a whole.
Yes.
I think Tom Cruise, obviously there's a romance in there. He gets involved with his daughter at one point, I think, doesn't he? And he's a bit like, don't you?
Yeah, it's been a while, but again, another visually stunning movie. And
beautiful,
great,
I always find though that it was very similar to Dances with Wolves. That was the thing that I think maybe sort of turned me off it a little bit because I'm a big Kevin Costner fan, and I think it was that I hadn't quite turned into liking Tom Cruise as much then. I thought this is a rip-off. It's just a samurai version of that. But no, it's a good one.
I know what you mean. Actually, it was weirdly my mum that told me to watch it. She was like, "You need to watch this movie with Tom Cruise. It's very good." And I was a bit like, I don't know. It looks a bit iffy that, but it's grown on me. I'd give it a watch. It's good.
Oh, good. Okay. Go on the Neil, number 8.
Vanilla Sky. I love the surrealism of this movie. I really do. Open Your Eyes was the original Spanish film with Penelope Cruz. I think was in that one as well, wasn't she? Which I'd seen years and years before and completely forgotten until this one came out. And then people said it was a remake, and then you could see the links between it. But again, it's another good performance by Tom Cruise, and again another visually stunning movie. That whole Times Square bit when he's on his own is a joy to behold, as I suppose some people would say. It's a confusing plot line, isn't it? It's almost did they, didn't they? What's real, what's not real, sort of thing. Have you seen this one, Pav?
Not all the way through. No. I've seen bits of it. So yeah. I'm not 100% sure. And then it's probably not a good film to see halfway through if it's confusing.
No, you'll probably be sat there going, I have no idea what's going on right now.
I'd probably be saying that if I'd watched all of it, to be perfect.
Yeah, well, you do in bits. Rick will probably testify. You really do. It's a confusing movie, let's put it that way, but it's enjoyable nonetheless. And everybody that's in it is really, really good. And again, it's Cameron Crowe again.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, real departure from his usual stuff, because he's quite breezy, sort of easy breezy, isn't he, with his with some of his stuff. But no, I completely agree with you. It's beautifully shot. It is a bit confusing. It does get me in the pit of my stomach a little bit. It's a very unsettling. It's very similar to Eyes Wide Shut. Very unsettling movie.
Yeah, there really is.
I think again, this almost made it in. There's a lot that you're mentioning almost made it in, but yeah, I really like it. But it sets me a bit on edge when I watch it.
Yeah, I can understand that. That.
I feel like Vanilla Sky is one of those kind of movies when you're an actor that you've made enough money that you can then go and make whatever kind of movie you want.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that Vanilla Sky is the kind of movie that's going to make $200 million at the box office.
I mean, it did incredibly well.
Did it?
Yeah, I always remember when it came out, and it was at the time when Empire and that, prominently would feature the letters page.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that would write in and go, I took my girlfriend to see Vanilla Sky, or I took my boyfriend to see Vanilla Sky, whichever, and we have no idea what it's about. Could you please explain?
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is, it's confusing.
Yeah.
Maybe read the synopsis, then watch it.
Okay. Okay.
No, because it genuinely is confusing when you're watching
really
it. You genuinely do get confused about, hang on, what's going on? But
yeah, because Cameron Diaz pops up, and then it's Penelope Cruz, and then it's like, then he's not, because his face is obviously a bit scarred, and then it's not, and you think, what is happening here?
Okay. Yeah. You make it sound intriguing, that's for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 8 was Minority Report, which we've already spoken about. So back to you, Rick, for your number 7.
Okay, so my number 7, it's depending on which part of the world you're in, it's either Edge of Tomorrow or it's Live, Die, Repeat.
That's my number 7.
And that's my number 5.
Hey, I mean, I just think this is one of the most fun. I mean, it's Groundhog Day with aliens, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's one of the most fun movies that I've seen Tom Cruise in. You can tell he's having an absolute ball in it. Doug Liman, so he did Swingers, which was I think that had a very young Jon Favreau in it, as I remember. Swingers,
yeah.
He did Go as well, which I really liked. That's quite a very 90s one. But I just think and again, he's playing against type. He starts off as a sniveling advertising wimp, really, and he just doesn't want anything to do with any. He's like, get me away from this. I don't care. I'll just do the PR stuff. And I just love the fact that it's just they parachutes him into this situation where he's completely unqualified to do absolutely anything. He's scared to death. And by a twist of fate, and I like the fact that he's not very good at fighting. And you've got the what's her name now? Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
Right. Yeah,
she's the angel of Verdun or something. I can't remember what her name is, but then she's amazing. She's like the hard one. She's strong female, and he's Tom Cruise, and he's rubbish, and she's just trying to teach him all these things, and it's almost like he has to earn the right to be an action hero in it. And I really like that. It's like, you've got to earn your stripes here. You can't just walk into a situation and be, Ethan Hunt. But I just think it's just really good. Great premise. It can be really funny at one, he's dying every 5 minutes. He must have died about 30 times in the movie. I don't know. But I love the fact that some of the deaths are dead funny. And then he sort of goes through a moment where he's a bit like, you know what, I can't do this. This is too hard. The ending's a bit confusing. I'm not going to lie. I still don't understand how he got the blood of the Omega and then he went to normal time and then she's alive. I mean, I don't ask me how that works, but you know what? It's brilliant. And I love the fact he walks up to at the end and she just goes, I've got something on my face. And he just laughs and it ends. I think it's just a really fun, brilliant, it's just a great action movie.
It's a fairground ride all the way through. It's great role. It's great.
It's a computer game as well, isn't it? It's like you play a computer game and then you learn, right, I don't need to go down there. I need to kill that person. I need to do that. And then you die again. You start at the start and you learn back from the bits and pieces that you've already gone through. I think he's really good in this. There are some really funny moments in this as well, especially when he keeps going into the barracks and it gets to the point where he knows everybody. He knows what everybody's going to say. And he's basically preempting what they're going to say before they even say it. Bill Paxton, one of his last roles as well. Fantastic in it. And
Tony Way.
Tony Way,
isn't it?
Way.
Who has one of the biggest laughs in it when he naked in his little suit, wasn't he?
And they keep talking about this sequel that they're going to do, but it just seems to get pushed back and pushed back.
Part of me hopes they don't.
I hope they don't. Yeah, I mean, I just think this is a real odd action movie, and I love the fact that they couldn't figure out how to what to call it. Because that to me is interesting, you know. It's like, what is this? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think that's great. But like you're saying, the comedy aspect where he's doing push-ups and he keeps trying to time his roll under the van, and he keeps getting it wrong.
Yes. Yeah, it's very good. It's very
good. Very watchable.
It's very watchable. Yeah. Right. So, Neil, your number 7 was Minority Report. My number 7 was Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. So we're back to you again, Rick, for your number 6.
Right. So my number 6 is Rain Man.
Oh, that's my number 6.
That's my number 5.
Oh, close.
We're clustering up in the middle here, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah. I threw a spanner in the works with Jerry Maguire, but yeah, Rain Man. I just think if it's I mean, obviously we're talking about Tom Cruise, but if we're going off the merit of a movie, this would be way higher. I think obviously 8 Oscar nominations. I think it won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Dustin Hoffman, and Best Original Screenplay. And it was just off the back of Cocktail with Tom Cruise, and this to me was that moment, Pav, we're talking about, which is like, oh, you can act. Actually, you are, and he's holding his own against. And there's this moment in Tropic Thunder. I don't know who says the line, but you know when they go, this is what they say in the movie, but he just goes, you know, you don't go full retard, you don't do that, you don't, you know, they do this thing of, if you're going to do that, then you get an Oscar, and you do. But there is this propensity to sort of, if you play someone who has learning difficulties or autistic and you really get it right, then you're right up there for those nominations, and you have to be a bloody good actor to do that. And obviously Dustin Hoffman is a bloody good actor, and he holds his own against him. He really holds his own, and it's
absolutely does.
Yeah, it's a real good performance from him, and he grounds the movie. And it's just, I just think their relationship, it's a road trip movie, really. And I think it's that claustrophobic sort of, he's with this guy with autism who has to go to bed at a certain time, he has to watch a certain thing at a certain time. And I think even though it's won so many accolades, I do think it's a bit forgotten about. I don't know why, but I just think that I just think it's a really, really good performance a really understated performance from Tom Cruise, actually. And I just, I think it's just a great movie.
Again, it's another movie with absolutely fantastic humor in it, as well as being able to pull the heartstrings like you wouldn't believe. And Tom Cruise's arc, his character's arc, he's a right shit at the beginning. That's really,
exactly.
And it's another great arc for him to become, you know, see the error of his ways.
Well, you say, Rick, that they go on a road trip. The only reason they're on a road trip is because Tom Cruise wants what he thinks he's owed. He wants his share of his father's estate or whatever it is, and he's not looking at the fact that he's his brother and that he loves him. It's just because he needs the money because of the cars and everything that it's his business. But he learns to love him, and he learns to even, you know, he uses him to count cards and all that stuff, and to make, you know, thousands of dollars. But he ends up learning to love him, and he doesn't really care about the money at the end, which is a beautiful thing. But you're absolutely right. There's a couple of movies where Tom Cruise, obviously, he wants to better himself as an actor. So the best way of doing that is surrounding yourself with really good actors, because then you have to punch up to their level. It's no good being the star and everyone else around you is okay. You're absolutely right. He absolutely holds his own against Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, and it's a bit like, just like you're saying, he's testing himself there, which is brave. And I think just like you were saying, Neil, with Eyes Wide Shut, testing himself. I like the fact that he tested himself in this way and in that way. I think that's good. So,
and it's got a great soundtrack as well. I had the soundtrack. I had the some of the music in it is fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
So,
fart.
Oh dear! Slow on the driveway. So Neil, your number 6 was also Rain Man.
Yeah.
So my number 6 is Magnolia.
Ooh.
Now, I think I went through a phase of like watching Magnolia at least once a week for a good few months, because I was like hooked on that whole movie, and the music, the whole. I can't remember the name of the song. What was the song?
Well, there's one.
Wise Up.
Wise Up.
Wise Up is the song that everybody starts singing.
Mm.
You know, it's just, it doesn't make any sense, but they all start singing the song on screen, and it is fantastic. But Tom Cruise, he's not got a major part in the movie, but what a performance! And did he get supporting
He got
actor,
Oscar nominated.
Oscar
didn't he?
nomination for
Best
this, didn't
supporting
he?
actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't
He's
put
a shit, really.
yeah, I didn't put the rest of the was it this one?
Respect the
Yeah.
cock.
And I didn't put the second part of that one because I thought maybe that might be a little bit too strong. But I think he's absolutely fantastic. And I will put it in the video playlist, the outtakes, the bloopers, where he's trying to do that one scene where he's talking about his dog or something and he's crying, and and the woman from The Commitments, the Irish woman from The Commitments, well, they're all Irish Commitments, but one of the girls that sing in the band of The Commitments that was in Magnolia, and they just are pissing themselves laughing. They cannot get through the take. I'll put that in the video playlist.
Brilliant. No, I mean,
But-
I've seen it maybe once a long time ago, and I completely agree with you. Again, I love the fact that he plays like totally against type, and he's such an obnoxious twat in it. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
It was horrible.
But again, it's Paul Thomas Anderson, isn't it?
It was Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah.
Just an amazing array of different storylines that crisscross against each other and just bounce across each other, and it's just a fantastic. It's one of my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movies. It just is, frogs falling from the sky and just.
Well, that's a shocker, isn't it? At the end.
Some things are just batshit crazy. They have no sense whatsoever. But some of the things, some fantastic quotes, some fantastic dialogue. But not in either of your top tens. No?
Maybe.
Oh right, okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, again, this is one that sort of passed me by a little bit, so that's why it's not there.
That's
but
fair enough.
I do know I do know the performance you're talking about with Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that was my number 6. Rick, over to you for your number 5, please.
Right. So my number 5, we touched on it before, but it is Collateral. So this is the one we were talking about before. I do think this is just a really underrated movie. I think if it wasn't Tom Cruise, and maybe this is what you were talking about, Pav, actually, maybe it was, for some people, it was a bit too early for Tom to do this type of role. But I think Michael Mann, obviously, what a director. And I think that this type of reversal that he's done, where it's almost like in Taxi Driver, Robert De Niro, the guy driving the taxi was the lunatic. And in this way, he's picked someone up who's the lunatic. And I just love that weird reversal around, and it's like it's almost a horror movie when you pick up the hitchhiker and you just think, oh Jesus, what the hell's going on here. Cruise is as a bad guy in this one, pretty much as a bit of a psycho, or at least a sociopath. I think is really clever, and it's got this line in it which has been nicked and put in another movie, and it's when Max turned who's what's his name that plays Max,
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
That's it. Yeah, thank you. And he goes, Max goes, "You killed him," and he goes, "No, I shot him. The bullets in the fall killed him." And you just think that distancing of responsibility tells you everything you need to know about his character. And it's like, no, this is nothing to do with me. I'm just the job,
Yeah.
And I just love the darkness in that. And he still manages to make this relationship with Max, where he tells I think his boss rings Max up after the body falls on the car and goes, "You're going to pay for that." And he's like, no, he's like, and he picks up the mic up and he goes, "You know damn well that he's not liable for that. Now fuck off and leave him alone." And he just like sticks up for him. You think, oh, this is a really complicated relationship here, because he's stuck up for him. And then, and then at the end when he kills Vincent, and he's just this sad little, he just dies in the train. And I just think it's a very hard thing to get this very dislikable character and then make him sympathetic and give him a relationship with this taxi driver. And I just think it's a really underrated movie, and it's a great performance from Tom Cruise, and the grey hair. I just think he's grey hair.
Yeah,
that's what made me think that if it had been Tom Cruise, I mean, I don't know, how old is he now? He must be getting on for 60, isn't he? I think
he's 60.
Yeah. You'd think that like sort of now would be a time that would be a good time to be, because in the end, what Vincent is that's his job. He doesn't care who it is that he's killing. He's got this job that is, the contract is for this person. That's what he's got to do. So he doesn't care whether they are nice people, bad people. That's just the job that he's got. And you sort of, I was going to say you've got to admire him, but you can't, because he's a killer. But do you know what I mean?
But that's just it. Yeah.
That's his job, and he doesn't care. He can't be He's blinkered along that path, and that's what he has to do. And yeah, that was number 11 on my list. So it was originally in my list until I remembered Edge of Tomorrow, and it it
Yeah.
bumped it out of the list. But I'm surprised it's not in yours, Neil, because you're a
Do
Michael
you
Mann
know
fan.
why? I'm going to be honest now.
You
I've
forgot.
only ever seen it once.
Oh, right.
And it was when it first came out, and I've never gone back to watch it again. Now, I remember enjoying it, and I remember liking it, but I don't remember a lot about it. So,
oh, right. Okay.
That's fair enough, though. I mean, again, it's one that I reappraised probably about a year ago, and it's crept into my subconscious a bit. Yeah,
I think it is one that slips under the radar, though. I think it's
one I need to watch again. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good movie. Yeah, and I was actually, because I was a bit like you. I thought, well, it's for some reason it feels a bit paper thin when you look at it, but then when you watch it, you go, oh no, it's very good actually. And why haven't I watched this more times?
Yeah, it's quite a simple.
It's Michael Mann, isn't it?
Michael Mann.
Michael Mann. Yeah.
Okay, so Neil, your number 5 was Edge of Tomorrow.
It was.
My number 5 was Rain Man. So, Rick, your number 4, please.
Okay, so my number 4, and again, I can't choose all of them, so I'm going to go with the one I think is the best, which is Mission Impossible #1. So I think
that's my number 2, by the way.
Yeah.
I wanted to just put them all in, but I know that Pav would have hoiked me up. So because I just think they mold into one. Really, they're one long movie.
They do, and I just, I mean, this was in 1996, the first one. I mean, this had zip drives in it, and
that's right.
Floppy disks and things, and it's like bloody hell. But we forget, like, Brian De Palma did this, and he did Scarface, The Untouchable, he did Carrie. And I just feel like, for me, I've got a real soft spot for this one, because I think, not that it's the best, well, I do sort of think it's the best one in my head, although the other ones are very good. They're more action-y. This one's way more European, more intrigue. It's I mean, obviously it's got action. It's got the million times parodied fall from the ceiling and then stopping just below the floor. It's got Jean Reno in it, who I love, and it's just more suspense. It's very Bourne-y, before Bourne was kind of around, I feel. A little bit ahead of its time. I don't think people knew quite what to make of it. I love the fact that Max, talking about this character Max all the way through, and it turns out it's who plays it's a woman,
Vanessa Redgrave.
Vanessa Redgrave, and you just think, oh. And I like the fact that it's kind of a paranoid thriller. It's just, and obviously it spawned all the sequels as well. And I just think that this is the beginning of the Tom Cruise, the action star. So yeah, I just love it. I think it's great.
I don't think you'd have like the Bourne Identity without the first Mission Impossible.
No.
You know what I mean? I think it laid the blueprint for what like modern day action movies were going to be. That whole set piece in that room where they tell you what they need to do. You know, we're going to do this. We're going to do, like the TV show. It would lay out what their plan was going to be. So they've told you what they're going to do, but it is still edge of the seat stuff. Right up to the moment when it looks like he's going to get caught, and then it looks like that bead of sweat that drops off his glasses, and he manages to catch it right at the last moment. I've watched that movie so many times, and even now you still think they're not going to do it. They're going to get caught, and I've seen it so many times. You know that they're going to make it, and everything's fantastic, and everything's fine. Yeah. But I think it was the start of that kind of action movie, I feel.
There's some great visual set pieces in it. It's a great, like you said, European feel to it. It doesn't feel like your everyday Hollywood blockbuster and that. But I always think that scene with the fish tank, you know, when he chucks the gun on, and oof, I just think that visually looks amazing when that.
Totally agree. I actually wrote that down, that one as well, as one of the set pieces. That's brilliant, with the red light, green light, and the chewing gum. You know?
Just honestly, really good. So that's why I picked number 1. Sorry, because it's the start of the franchise. You have to put it there.
Number 2. You picked it number 2.
No, I put it at number 2. It's number 1.
I actually abbreviated it a few times. It was MIN number 1, MI1. I just thought I don't know what to put it down as.
Okay, good one. Neil, your number 4 then, please.
So I'm putting Tropic Thunder in it.
That's my number 4.
Oh.
And I put it in because, I mean, this film isn't great all the way through. It really isn't. Some of the other bits are a bit sort of, I mean, it has some very funny moments, but some of it's a bit ropey now, I think. And
well, I think it's a movie that I don't think you could make today.
No,
No.
Just the
absolutely.
Robert Downey Jr.
I was
character.
literally going to say that.
I don't. Even he was on Joe Rogan couple of years ago, saying that you won't be able to make that movie today. He just wouldn't be able to.
No, you wouldn't. But it's Tom Cruise who makes the movie for me. He's bloody hilarious. I mean, so funny. I wish they'd always rebrought back the character for him. They were going to, weren't they? Weren't they going to do a comedy with him in or something? I read.
I don't see why they. Yeah, I don't see why they didn't. That could have been something that could have just gone on and on and on.
Yeah.
As a character,
been like Johnny Depp in the Kevin Smith movies and not had a real name and just carried on, you know, and had a bit of fun. But he's fucking hilarious in this.
Yeah,
horrible character, really. But so we talked against type. This is against type. I mean, would we have known it was Tom Cruise if nobody had said? That's the thing. Would you?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Yeah, you can sort of see it, but then I think because there was so much like hype around like this is going to be a big cameo, everyone was like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But you feel that he had so much fun.
Yeah.
That he just literally, the shackles were off. He could just, and the whole dance thing at the end of the credit sequence and stuff is just fantastic. And he's one of those characters that says the stuff that you would love to say to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the Malcolm Tucker of that world.
So why don't you get the hell out of here before I snap your dick off and jam it into your ass?
Exactly. He's exactly like Malcolm Tucker. He's that sort of, you haven't. We wouldn't have the balls to go to somebody to say those kinds of things, but that's what these characters are there for. They're there to do that for us.
What's his character's name in it? Is it Les
Grossman?
Les Grossman.
Or was it Len Grossman?
Len Grossman.
For some reason, I went to Lloyd Grossman.
Les. It's Les Grossman.
Oh, is it Les?
I
thought it was Len.
Lloyd Grossman was the food critic.
Master chef bloke.
Yeah.
Who lives in a house like this?
That was Lloyd Grossman, wasn't
it? Snapping a dick off and shoving it up your arse.
Something like that.
There's your sequel right there.
There you go. Yes, that was my number 4 as well, Neil.
Well, there you go. Great minds.
There you go. Okay, so Rick, your number 3 then, please.
So my number 3, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty obvious, but it's Top Gun.
Okay.
And the reason it's number 3 is, again, I watched this movie to absolute death with my brother because I was probably around about 7 or 8 when this was around, maybe 9, 10 when it came out on video, VHS, I would imagine it probably would be. And my brother just watched this so much. A lot of my movie things I got through him, and he was about 17, 18 at the time. So, it's I've just watched it back to front and upside down. Tony Scott, I think he's a really, really good visual director, Tony Scott. And I know the movie it's camp as Christmas, I mean, obviously. But Tony Scott did True Romance, which I absolutely love as well. And I just think this is what propelled Tom Cruise into superstardom. This movie, and there's a lot of things going around about, did the Navy bankroll it? Was it sort of propaganda for people to join the Navy, the US, military and stuff? And there's loads of things like that. The soundtrack is, I mean, Berlin. It's a brilliant song. Every movie that sort of does very well has a really good song. Obviously, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and you got Pretty Woman, and it's usually got a good song behind it.
Danger Zone as well.
Kenny Loggins. By Kenny Loggins. Yeah, exactly. So it's a soundtrack unto itself. And I know kids half my age that they know what it is and they've watched it. And the sequel, obviously, I couldn't put both in, but I think the sequel is probably a better movie. It is a better movie. But I just think that this is the original one. It's unabashed silliness. It's the homoeroticism is hilarious because I think what they tried to do is they probably tried. This is just my take on it. I think they tried to make it so hard to be straight and get girls to go and see it as well. It just went full circle and became homoerotic. It's just such a weird thing that happened. And the Quentin Tarantino analysis is very funny. I do like the chemistry between Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise. And I think that the fact that she's older than him is interesting and she's more senior than him. I thought that was quite interesting, especially for the time. It's pure 80s excess. I think its cinematography is underrated. I love the fact that it's the dogfights are still really good. They hold up today when you watch them. The quotes are silly. I feel the need for speed. Obviously, you've had that one in the intro, but I love it. I just love it to bits. And it's got sadness in it when Goose dies. Spoilers.
What?
Yeah.
A goose
So I
dies.
Yeah, I mean, if there was ever a movie that just went, how silly and stupid were the 80s, and how just great were they at the same time, this is that movie. I just think it's just bonkers basically, but I can't help but love it. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I can't watch Top Gun without thinking of Hot Shots. That's my only problem. is I can't. And this is the Tom Cruise. I'm quite glad he's not with us now. That I don't like. I don't, because
Yeah.
he's all wisecracky. He's all, I don't know. There's just something about him in this, and this isn't in my top 10. I'll say it now.
Oh yeah.
I just I don't know. There's something about him in that movie that is just I just find very unwatchable.
Well, he's a dislikable character in the movie. He doesn't play a likable character in the movie.
No, that is true.
You know what I mean? He's very cocky. He's very sure of himself. He's the best of the best.
Cocky.
You know what I mean?
think cocky is the word I was trying to look for.
Yeah. And I completely, I understand why it's not your top 10. I understand that completely. Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. And I was like, oh, it's so high on my list. I actually feel quite embarrassed.
You're not alone. No, you're not alone with that. I don't think you're not alone with that at all.
Loads of people love that movie.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I'm not. It's just. I don't know whether it's part of our generation. It wasn't aimed.
No, I think it is, but that's the thing. I think it was right in our sweet spot. But
it was, but it never hit the sweet spot for me when I went to see it at the cinema either. So for different, I don't know whether it's for different reasons or not. And I've watched it a few times since. I mean, my kids loved it more than I did.
Yeah,
and I think okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just think it's a weird acquired taste, and I blame my brother. Hands up, I blame him. This is his fault.
Go on then, Neil. You're number 3.
Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah,
I really like this movie. I think Neil Jordan did a fantastic job. I don't know whether you guys have ever read the book. Well, I don't know whether you've ever read the book, Rick. I won't bother asking Pav. They did a very true though.
Absolutely true.
To me, I mean, everybody scoffed when they announced Tom Cruise was playing Lestat. They were saying he's wrong for the role. He should never do it. Anne Rice even came out and said, no, he's not Lestat. And then after that, she saw the movie, she changed her tune and she said that whenever she wrote again about Lestat, Tom Cruise was the person that she could see, which shows to me what a great performance it was. And he's horrible in it. He is horrible. I mean, you think the whole story arc with Brad Pitt, what he makes Brad Pitt do, even as vampires, these children of the night or whatever you want to call them, it's not supposed to have morals. Tom Cruise certainly didn't in that role. I think his acting in it is sublime. I think he's quite a scary mofo in it. The fact that he just doesn't give a shit, does he? And one of the greatest comebacks at the end of a movie ever, I think, where they think they got rid of him and up he jumps.
And it was weird how it never, because I think it did really well at the box office.
It did, yeah.
But they never went and made any more.
They did.
Yeah,
I mean, but with
the superstar
with Tom Cruise and
well, Brad Pitt famously hates the movie, doesn't he?
Oh, does he?
Yeah. I never really understood why. Did he give reasons why?
Not that I can recall, but yeah, he doesn't ever speak about it. Mind you, I don't think, if you watch his performance, he's so melancholy in it and so down in the dumps. When you read about how much he disliked filming it, it makes you wonder, whether that shows in his performance, but he gets away with it because that's what his character's supposed to be, isn't it? Moping around.
Yeah, I guess he just thought, I don't like this. I'm just going to act. I'm not even going to act. I'm just going to, it's life imitating art.
Yeah. But I think, again, it's great. It's, talk about uncomfortable moments. Antonio Banderas' appearance in it, and we talk about homoerotic, but Antonio Banderas' appearance with that girl who's fed to the vampires is purely shocking still now. There's
some really creepy, unsettling moments in that movie, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Stephen Ray is horrible in it as the vampire.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a great movie, and
a young Kirsten Dunst as well.
Yeah, she was
so good. I mean, that was a breakout role, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How good she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of that movie. I honestly think I did watch the sequel, Queen of the Damned, and it's fucking awful.
It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, it's so it's miscast all the way through that movie, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's just horrible movie. It's just not a patch. But I would recommend reading the books. There you go, Pav. Audio books, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I'll put it on like.
But saying that, I've seen adverts. There's a series been made of it, isn't there? Recently?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the guy that was in Game of Thrones. He was one of the.
Charles Dance?
No, not Charles Dance.
Peter Dinklage.
One of the Unsullied.
Okay.
Oh, I know who you mean. Yeah.
I'm not sure of the guy's name, but
is it got good write-ups?
I have no idea. I don't.
I'd be intrigued to watch that.
Okay. Okay. My number 3 is Top Gun Maverick. So all I said about Top Gun.
Can I just put a pointer here? I know we're doing spoilers, but can we not spoil this because I still haven't seen it?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, everything that I hate about Top Gun is all the things that I love about Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I don't really want. I won't say much about it. Just the fact that I thought that it was one of the best times I've had at a cinema for a long, long time. Probably
pure
since
cinema joy.
Yeah, Avengers Endgame was probably the last time I had that much fun. Yeah, at a cinema, and also I've watched it on Sky because they gave you a free movie for some reason. I don't know. So I got Top Gun and we watched it again last week, I think it was, and it's really good. It's just a really, really good movie. All right, it's like you say, don't spoil it, Neil, but I mean, it's not like an amazing storyline in regards to it's going to change things. It's changed the boundaries of storytelling.
I mean, you can talk about the story, but if there's any major, like we spoke about Goose, if there's any major moments like that, then
we won't. There are a couple of go on. Sorry,
I was just going to say I agree with you. I think it knows exactly what it is. And it's beautifully shot. Again, beautifully shot. The dogfights were amazing, and it's and I'm very aware. I'm not going to say anything to spoil it for you, Neil. But I think it's just you'll love it. It's just a really well done movie, and I know it sounds weird to say that, but nowadays it's very rare to get a really well done movie that's just done, and you walk out going, oh, that was bloody brilliant. That actually,
and you can tell the difference between when you see so much CGI these days.
Oh god,
the fact that a lot of the dogfights and a lot of the in-flight footage, if you like, is absolutely real. And that's the kind of stuff that makes you notice it then, because you see all this CG. When you see something that's actually real, it takes your breath away and you think, wow, I was in that cockpit. I would thoroughly recommend it. And like I say, I think the fact that you've got 30 years of or Tom Cruise's character has got 30 years of baggage there. That you can tell that in his performance, and he isn't the wisecracking, cocky guy. He sometimes has those little moments, but soon gets shot down. Excuse the pun. Do you know what I mean? From the people that have done things with their lives as opposed to him. But I won't say any more, Neil, because I don't want to ruin it for you. Okay?
No, and the only reation I haven't watched it at the moment, I've literally got it to watch.
Okay, well that's cool.
But it's a thing called life gets in the
I
way.
know.
Yeah. Do you know what I would suggest actually, Pav? I'd actually do a double bill. I'd do Top Gun and then Top Gun Maverick, and then see if you can reappraise, because it's now a double now.
That's not a bad idea.
That is a good idea.
But Neil, it's good, and there's not many movies that Tom Cruise actually dies in. But oh shit. Sorry. Well, I've saved you 2 hours, haven't I?
There we go. That's fine.
Okay, so Rick, your number 2 was Jerry Maguire.
Yep.
Neil, your number 2 was Mission Impossible.
Yep.
My number 2 is A Few Good Men.
Oh, okay.
Now, this was we were saying earlier on, Rick, about how he brings his level up with the people that he's around. With this, Jack Nicholson tearing up every scene that he's in. But you got Kevin Bacon, you got Demi Moore. Which way would you say it? Demi Moore. Kevin Pollak is in it as well. It's just got a fantastic cast. I mean, you can tell that it's a stage, it's a theater thing, I think you can tell that it's that. But the writing is obviously fantastic. Aaron Sorkin, I think, isn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
And,
Rob Reiner directing.
Yeah,
It's
Rob
one of
Reiner.
my. It's one of those movies that if I catch it and it's on, I'll tend to watch it from where it is and just watch it to the end, because you have that courtroom scene at the very end. You know, you can't handle the truth and all of that.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those movies where he grew up in those movies. He does play a cocky, lawyer, if you like, but he's got his demons, and again he has that little edge of brilliance, where he will crack the case and he will be the person, and he knows what he's doing, even though he might look like he doesn't know what he's doing. He actually knows what he's doing. He knows what he needs to say to Colonel Jessup to get him to blurt out those famous lines.
What I love about that when he goes, "You can't handle the truth," and it's the he's not celebrating. He's shocked that it's actually worked.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? He's like, "Oh Jesus!" Like,
yeah.
I love that. I think that's really clever, because it's not the sort of fist pump. Yeah, I got you. It's like, oh my God, you've just admitted. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. But then he does gain his composure, because you're going to jail, you son of a bitch, and all that kind of stuff, because he has got him and he knows he's got him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so well, I won't ask whether it's in yours, because it might be at number one. So we'll it might be, it might not. Okay, so that's everybody's 10 to 2s. So Rick, before you give us your number one, would you like to just run down your number 10 to number 2, please?
Sure thing. So at number 10 was Minority Report. At number 9 was Cocktail. At number 8 was Last Samurai. Number 7, Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat. 6, Rain Man. Number 5 was Collateral. Number 4 was Mission Impossible 1, or Mission Impossible. Number 3 was Top Gun. Number 2 was Jerry Maguire.
Wonderful. Neil, your 10 to 2, please.
So at number 10, it was Eyes Wide Shut. Number 9, Legend. Number 8, Vanilla Sky. Number 7, Minority Report. Number 6, Rain Man. Number 5, Edge of Tomorrow. Number 4, Tropic Thunder. Number 3, Interview with a Vampire. And number 2, Mission Impossible.
That's what happens when you try and slow it down, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember you saying, slow it down next time. I was like, I need to go slow.
Yeah. Neil loves racing through it. As soon as he tries to slow it down, look, he trips over his words. My number 10 was Jerry Maguire. 9 was Cocktail. 8, Minority Report. 7, Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. 6, Magnolia. 5, Rain Man. 4, Tropic Thunder. 3, Top Gun Maverick, and 2, A Few Good Men. So, Rick, what is your number one Tom Cruise movie?
My number one Tom Cruise movie is Interview with the Vampire.
Oh.
So I totally agree with you, Neil. I think he's brilliant in this. I just think that I've never seen him be so horrifying and scary. And just he's loving it, and he's just camping it up the whole way through, and he's just, not that that's diminishing it, because I just think he's just, even in the scenes when he's not with Brad Pitt, he's in the scenes with Brad Pitt. Do you know what I mean? He's hanging over the whole movie. And just like you say, you've said it before, but it's, Anne Rice didn't categorically, I think she even went as far as saying, I don't want Tom Cruise in my bloody movie playing Lestat, I don't want that. And then as soon as she saw the casting call that he did, she was like, he's in my movie, I want him in my movie. And he plays such a good character, and it's just that toxic relationship he's got with Louis, like you've covered it as well, but almost at the point where he eventually he leaves him and he takes the kid. Yeah. It's like, it's a weird sort of perverted relationship that they've got. Obviously Kirsten Dunst is excellent. Like you say, she's just as evil and sadistic as Lestat for a lot of it. But Pitt seems to forgive her, and Louis seems to forgive her. I just think it's one of these movies that whenever it's on TV, no matter how far through it is, I'll watch it. And I've watched it a million times. I think it's, I know we spoke about Brad Pitt not liking it, but his melancholic sort of performance in it just serves as almost as a foil to show just how good Tom Cruise is. And it makes you wonder why Tom Cruise just didn't play any more horror-y sort of, really evil roles, because he's horrific in this. And I just think it's great, and I just love it to bits. So yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
There you go. Okay, then Neil, you're number one.
So you've talked about this already, Pav. It is Magnolia. I love this movie. It has a lot of. I mean, I don't love Tom Cruise's character because he's just obnoxious and horrible, but the whole movie, it just resonates really much, so much with me, because at the time I went to see it for the first time, my friend was actually on his deathbed dying of cancer, which sounds a bit glum, but it was lovely to
just
watch.
A little bit, Neil. Yeah,
it does, I know, but I know it, I don't want to bring the tone down, but if you can imagine, it's hard to explain, but I watched that movie and I felt like I was sharing something with somebody, so it's got a type of beauty with what I was going through at the time. And like you, Pav, I just love the interconnecting stories. I love the Amy Mann soundtrack. I loved Amy Mann before, and to hear a whole soundtrack of her songs and everything on there is just gorgeous. Tom Cruise, I think, is probably his finest performance, because we talked about playing against type, but he does it so well in this that I think the bloke is an asshole in it. But I would say to anybody that has not seen this movie, give up 3 hours of your evening and sit and enjoy, because you're going to go on a ride, and you've got such an ensemble cast. I mean, there's no point just naming everybody. Have a look, because there are so many big members of cast in it, and it was such a good departure from Paul Thomas Anderson, because it was straight off the back of Boogie Nights, wasn't it? Which is also another fantastic.
Also a really, really good film as well.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful bit of movie making, and it'll be easily in my top 20, I think.
Wow, I think I'll have to watch it again tonight after this.
I think you should. Yeah, I feel like
I don't know whether, like I said, whether it resonates more because of what I went through when I first watched it, and it reminds me, and it's got a special place in my heart. But I
think that's what movies do, though, don't they? I think they capture a certain emotional state that you have at the time, and that's your experience of it. So that's more than a good reason. Yeah,
completely agree.
Fantastic.
Okay, my number one is in both of your top tens, and I had the same thing as you, Neil. I could have chosen a couple of the films in this series, but I've gone for the original Mission Impossible.
Hey.
I did say that it for me, it's the blueprint for the modern day. I mean, obviously there were action movies beforehand, but I think the fact that it's not just a crash bang wallop action movie, it's got a great story to it. It's got some good twists and turns to it, some amazing set pieces in it, nice little tinge of comedy in there every once in a while as well. And it's just, for me, I think it's one of those perfect action movies. And Tom Cruise, as Ethan Hunt, plays it really, really well. He's a guy that is on the run and knows he's on the run, but he has the skills. He has a certain set of skills that means that he can survive. It means that he doesn't just survive. He knows what to do to turn it around and win at the end. But spoilers for anybody that
couldn't agree more with that. I think, and also I think with the first movie, you really feel like he's in danger and he could perish, he could die. He will, because it's Tom Cruise, but you feel like the character's in danger in the first movie, whereas I think the sequels are brilliant, but what they lose for me is there's no stakes, because he's not going to die, because there's going to be another sequel. So you know what I mean? But I mean, maybe he will one day. Obviously he might, but I just love that what you're saying in the first movie. It's it's a sinewy performance from him a little bit. You know what I mean? It's really, it's great.
Yeah, and I think the next two movies are a part 1 and part 2, aren't they? They're supposed to be the last ones. So, I mean, it'd be a ballsy move to kill the main character, because it's sort of like, and I wouldn't mind it every so often. Spoilers for James Bond. If anybody's not, have you both seen the new?
Oh yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah. So he dies at the end of that, and you think, well, that's great, But they're going to do another James Bond movie, so they're going to work out how to sort of not bring him back, but the character will come back, or they just reboot it, or whatever they do. But right, we've got a couple of honorable mentions. The reason I said earlier on as well is I think that he's a little bit of a polarizing figure, Tom Cruise. We didn't have as many honorable mentions, and there were a couple of people going, "Yeah, he's not really my cup of tea." You know what I mean? People sort of said that, but
I think, like I said at the beginning, a lot of people think of his personal over his public, over what he produces and what he
The
does.
Scientology thing, I think people probably see a lot of that and go, ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's thought in that, but you look at him just for his movies.
You've got to disassociate
exactly.
his films with his personal.
Larry Sala said, for me, it has to be Collateral, but got to throw in Tropic Thunder, as Les Grossman is one of the best movie characters of all time. Liz Art said Days of Thunder and Top Gun. Kim Mendes said Risky Business and Top Gun Maverick. Lisa Buchanan said, he isn't my favorite actor, but there is no questioning his solid career. Would be difficult to pick one, but Interview with a Vampire and both Top Guns. At this one, Samantha said Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, turn and burn. And Kirsten Prince said Tropic Thunder is the one I like. So there you go. That's it. We've done it.
Brilliant.
Cruise. Look at what you missed out on, Mr. Cruz. I will send you a link to the podcast when it comes out, Mr. Cruz, to realize what it is you've missed. Rick, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for inviting me on. It's been really good fun. Thank you.
An absolute stellar performance, young man, for your first entrance, and we will have you back for the top 10 movie openings. I've already got 3 or 4 in my head that I can think of.
Me too. Lovely. I'd love to come back. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. And thank you so much for your support as well. It really means a lot to us for your support on the Patreon. And obviously to Brendan. Is it Brendan? Oh, God. Brandon. Sorry, Brandon. He's one of our newies, so I got his name wrong. Brandon Watson, thank you so much. Before we say our goodbyes, Neil, tell everybody how they can get in touch and all that.
So, like I tell you every week, come and follow us on all the social media sites at Top 10 Pods. Give us a click, give us a like, give us a follow, whatever it is you do. Email us at top10pods@hotmail.com. Come and help support the podcast like Rick did at patreon.com/top10pods, where you could be a guest too with your own top 10. Ooh. Check out all of our links via the Linktree. You can find the links in the show notes below. And please do come subscribe, leave a review and a rating wherever you get your podcast from. Thank you.
Well done, Neil. Rick, thank you once again.
Thanks, guys. Lovely.
It's been. I'm quite glad we got that one out of the way, because to be honest, I'm going to be thinking tonight, I should have put that one in, and I should have put that one in, and it keeps changing. It really gets on my nerves when I get those feelings. But Neil, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rick, and thank you for all your support. And cheers, Pav.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again, Rick. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. And let's go start the count.